Hello everyone, it's James, Living Gardens Homestead. Thought I'd come to you today to talk to you a little bit. I hope a lot of you have been preparing. We're going to need to be prepared when things come down. Sounds like I got a goat that's lost its mommy. But anyway, there's 4 things that I want to talk to you about. And the first one being your food supply. You know, if a disaster happens, or Lord forbid it, if we do go into a world war and we got war going on here in the United States, you know it's going to mess up the food chain. And you see what just a little bit of something done to the food chain back in the COVID era. But anyway, you need to start your pantry, get your food backed up, whether it be store-bought food or whether you grow it in your garden, you can it, put it back. 2, I don't know if you can see them, but I just come out here and gathered some more eggs today. It's my second time. Have your chickens where you've got eggs. You don't have to go to the store and buy them. And anyway, it's important to have some food stored away. That way, no matter what comes up or what happens, you've got a way to feed yourself. Now, some of you guys out there, now, West Virginia, where I was raised up at, this coming month is Thanksgiving. But not only Thanksgiving, it's hunting season. It's deer season. And I'm sure there's a lot of you that are already out there preparing to get those deer. And that's a good thing, though. Right before winter time really sets in, you can go out and get you a deer and put you a deer up in the freezer or whatever and have your meat for the winter. Now, I've done that many a time. I've killed deer and put them in the freezer, and that's been all we had for meat that winter. But good luck to all you guys that are going to get food that way. But, you know, a lot of people think that they could survive like that, and I hope that little goat finds its mommy real soon. But anyway, there's a lot of people I've heard that says, well, I don't have to worry about getting hungry because I'll just go out there and I'll hunt me a deer or some squirrel or something. That's fine. But if you'll remember where I came from, where I came from, there was no deer there. The DNR, because of people purchasing hunting license and stuff, they had the money that they stocked deer into that area, and it came in to be. Now, if everybody's getting hungry and they decide, well, I'm just going to kill me a deer to eat, if everybody does that, how long will it be before the deer get very scarce? And how hungry would you go between getting one and the next one? So, you know, that's things to think about. If everybody goes to doing it at the same time, you're going to run out of deer. Same way with fishing. You know, some of us, from where I come from, like to fish. But if everybody goes to fishing and keeping all those fish, eventually it's going to be hard to find fish. So, you know, you need to find something that's sustainable, like a garden, or like raising your own animals. And just like those eggs I just showed you, you know, if you had chickens, you got meat and you've got eggs, depending on the breed that you get. But anyway, that's number one. That's number one, is your food source. Number 2, your water source. You need a source of water. That way you can drink, cook with it, you know, and wash with it. You need a water source. Now, most people that I know are on city water now. And God forbid that somebody would put something in that city water and it would get to the point to where we couldn't drink it and couldn't use it. Or, you know, maybe just something happens. Just like back when the chemicals got into the river, Ohio River, and was coming down. But you got to have a backup source of water. And most of the old timers, they had hand dug wells. And no, it's not easy to dig a hand dug well. But, you know, you can have a source of water if you've got a hand dug well. And some people, they'll drill wells. If you got to go deeper than you could do with a hand dug well, you got to drill a well. And then you got to have a pump and stuff. And like my earlier video, if you're going to use a pump, you're going to have electricity. If the electricity's out, how do you pump your water? Well, you know, like in the last video, generator or solar power, and you can do that. But you got to have some source of water. Even if you catch rainwater, you got to have some source of water. And third, you got to have shelter. You know, when winter comes and it gets cold, you know, it'd be nice to have a shelter that you could try to stay warm in. And a lot of people, if times get real tough, most of them owe on their homes. Therefore, the banks may take their homes if they can't afford to pay for them, and they're going to be homeless. And, you know, a lot of people need to start thinking about shelter. What are you going to do for shelter? You know, I've heard of people living in campers. You know, they buy a camper and live in a camper. I've heard of people even getting tents and living in a tent. But some kind of shelter to keep you out of the weather. Because if you're out here in the rain in the wintertime and you get cold or wet, you're going to get really cold. And you know what? I don't think you'd make it. So, you know, you need some kind of a shelter, even if that is, I don't know, just a cave or anything. Something for a shelter to get out of the weather. And which brings me to another thing. Nuclear war. If you're right where the bomb's going to hit, yeah, you're going to be a goner. But let me stress this. If I lived in a city, I would be worried right now. I would be really worried living in a city. Because, let me see if I can make just a little bit of sense to you. Them bombs are not cheap. They spend a lot of money, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on them bombs. And I don't know exactly how much a nuclear bomb would cost, but I'm sure it's very, very expensive, more expensive than a traditional bomb. So, this is just my opinion, but if they were going to send a nuclear bomb over and hit America, I don't think they're going to want to take out a rural area. And my reasoning for that is this. If them people are going to do that, they're out to kill as many people as they can. Let's just be honest about it. They ain't out to just slap somebody's hands. They're out to kill as many people as they can if they do that. So, if they're going to send a bomb, the most likely place they are to send it, if they're wanting to kill people, will be in the middle of a city where there's all kinds of people together and they can take out as many as they can at one time. That's just my opinion of what they would do. But first and foremost, what I think they'd use those bombs for is any place that we've got, like our nuclear bombs in the ground and silos and stuff. I think they'd want to blow those places up, and maybe our military bases and stuff like that to stop them from being able to fire back at them. That's number one I think they would do. But like I said, if they were out to get a bunch of people, the cities would be what they would send the bomb to. So, I said that, not to scare you people in the cities. No, it's not to scare you all. But if you do live in a city and a warning goes off, them subways you've got in that city is underground. that would be a good place to go to if one was to be coming. And if I was you, I'd search out for a Subway. But here in the rural country, just a little indicator to some of you, and I know some of you watch this channel, and I'm glad that you do, and that some of you have commented on this channel, but let me give you an idea of what you can do, okay? You can go to where you know maybe your grandma, grandpa had an old coal bank back in the bank. You know what I'm talking about. They dug out the coal, or house coal, out of the bank there, and they've got it back in there quite a ways. You know, you could go back in there and get away from them bombs. Some of us worked in the coal mines. We know where some coal mines is. It might take a little effort, but I believe if it come down to survival, enough of us could get together to dig out one of them places where they covered up one of the entries to that coal mine and go back in there. But the reason I say that is not because the bomb's going to hit rural areas. I say that because of the fallout that comes from that bomb. Okay, if they send a nuclear bomb and it hits, it's going to raise up a lot of dust. Dirt from the ground, block from the buildings, all this dust is going to come up in that mushroom cloud. That dust, when that bomb goes off and that dust is exposed, the radiation from that bomb is going to radiate all them dust particles. And those dust particles are going to go up, and it's going to go anywhere. Who knows? Whichever way the wind's blowing. It's going to fall back down from the sky. The dust is going to cover everything. That dust is radioactive. And that will cause you to die if you get that dust all over you. That's the reason I said, find you a place to shelter. Because if you can survive the bomb attack, or you're not close enough for it to bother you, the fallout would be the problem. Okay? If you could find you an old mine or someplace like that, or the subway, and get away from where that dust is falling, I think the radioactivity goes away pretty much within 3-4 days after it falls down. But I think it's like 99% of it's gone, the radiation, after about 7 days. So if you could find a place to stay and had you some water, some food, to last you for a few days, and then when you had to come out, maybe it would be safe enough for you to come out. Okay, that's about the shelter. There's one other thing I don't hear too many people talking about that the old timers did, and it was needed. As high as inflation is right now, and if things bad happens, inflation's going to be ridiculous. You're going to have a wheelbarrow to carry all your money to buy you a loaf of bread. So, who's going to be able to afford to go buy some new breeches, some new pants? Who's going to be able to afford to buy a new shirt? It's going to be too expensive. The old timers had sewing machines. Aha! Who thought of sewing machines? See? That's a very important thing to have on a homestead, is a good sewing machine. You know, you can cut you up some clothes and sew patches on these and make them last a lot longer than you normally would until better times come. And that's the last thing that I was going to tell you about. Was the fourth thing was sewing machine. Everybody in every homestead should have a sewing machine that they can repair their clothing. That's a very important thing to have. But anyway, I hope you all liked the video. If you got any comments, leave them down in the comments section. And anyway, this is James from Living Gardens Homestead. Goodbye.